me being involved with Maui, I'm from the Big Island. I saw this on the internet that they were fighting, intervening on a new wing coming off the Grand Wailea. They're going to add another wing, and they already dug up in the past over 300 EV and hundreds missing. These new guys bought the hotel. They kind of bought the headache because they had to address what our concerns were. Well, me coming from the Big Island asking a Maui group if I can be involved in their lawsuit. So I'm from Big Island. So I got involved with the Maui lawsuit, being told that that's not where I'm from. I'm from the Big Island. What am I doing in Maui? Then they asked and said, do you have genealogy? Are you related to the EVs on Maui that you come from the Big Island? I said, no, but I got DNA. So just swab the bone and swab me. I don't need to give you alphabets, bro. Okay? So they didn't want to do that. That's why I became part of the lawsuit on Maui, because I was going to open a can of worms. My point was, you never ask an Indian what's his genealogy. But for Hawaiians, we got to come up with some names. That's just like, who said I got to prove myself that way? Well, anyway, the point is that we're Hawaiians from Kauai to Big Island. We're the same race. And we shouldn't be separated by islands where it keeps us from not coming together on these issues, especially the burial issues, right? The burial issues is what all the kumahulas, all the Hawaiians that you see today on TV, on the stage, making money off our culture came from these EVs. They never make that up. The EV is what passed on and passed on. So why is it so hard to embrace your ancestor that you are now using to make a living off of? I could never understand. Well, there's only a few Kanakas and our groups at home that stand up for that. And the rest of Hawaii and all the scholars and all the kumus and all these titles about being one Kanaka allow this to happen. Just to me, that is shame and that is heaven. But they don't see it that way. They rather save what? One flower, save water. Oh, that all is okay. But why not save the Eevee? That named everything over here. They taught all the culture that you're doing and making a live off. Take 5 cents more, Hawaii. And I don't understand if it was a Christian understanding that you don't have to take care of that. Well, all I can say is this. When you look over one headstone at a cemetery and you say, that's my grandmother there, and that's my grandmother there, I'm going to ask you, where's her grandmother stay? Where's the grandma stay? And you're going to say, I don't know. I said, that's why we're saving all the Eevee, because I don't know either. But I'm going to cover my okole by doing my best to take care of all the Eevee. That's how simple. And that's all we need is government to recognize that. I never took development beat it. I just said, move your building over, move your pipeline over here. That's all. I never tell you go home. But you don't like do that. You like dig them up and then play your own rules. What I've learned from the American Indians is if you buy the property, you own the bones. And that's how it is over here. That's why we had to fight the Ritz-Carlton, fight the Grand Wailea, because they bought the land and they play possession of the EV. They don't call a family. They don't put out a notice for the family living in this area, come down and make a claim. No, they own them. They'll do their own ceremony and they'll get their own employees who's Kanaka working there to be part of the ceremony. The problem with that is that's going to be a precedent for all the hotels that ran out of beach. So now they got to add wings or go up higher because they're no more beach already. So what does that mean? The Eevee? You're going to dig up more Eevee? Where you going to put them in Waikiki? You're going to make another one of those mounds right in front of the zoo? That's where that stay. So it's just this I mean, as one Kanaka, I was put on this earth to be one. And this interference about how we got to be somebody else in our own house has got to stop. And if we're going to leave our kids something, then we got to make the road a little bit more clear for them to walk down instead of stumble over the same things we stumble as being one Kanaka. That's the hardest thing to do in Hawaii, is be one Hawaiian. You got to be like they tell you to be. You got to act like they want you to act. Try act like yourself as a Kanaka. You're not going with the grain.